So I thought of this 6 in the morning before I went to work. How well you do in life is in one life, right? Is then put back. So this is based on reincarnation, but you're put back into like the sperm against the other sperm, right?
Right.
And it's sort of like a race.
When you die.
Yeah, and then you're sort of born back into the next one.
Right.
And the sperm's on like a sort of starting lineup.
Yeah.
Sort of like how Mario Kart is, right?
Yeah.
And how well you did in that one life.
Yeah.
Predicts your position. So, you know, like in Mario Kart, if you win one race, you're then put at the front.
Yeah.
So that's what I think it's like with the sperm. And my question to you is, would it be a 100-metre sprint or would it be more of a marathon, that race?
Well, it's very quick, isn't it? You know, and ejaculation is fast. Do you know what I mean? But you know what? I reckon sperm live in a different kind of time span to us. I think there isn't just one time span. I think about this with like molecules and things and how quickly things are made in cells, right? And then I think about our time, like we're not on the same time span. So I reckon it's probably a sprint, but even for them, I reckon it's knackering.
Also, with like with humans and stuff, as we get older, time goes slower. Time goes faster, sorry.
Well,
so when you're really young, time's really slow, you've got all the time in the world, so if you're even younger than that, you're just a little sperm, it's going to take ages.
Yeah, time is not just one thing. Time is actually subjective in a lot of ways, and I've got a few points about that. So when you go into like a flow state, when you're really focused on an activity, and it's in the kind of zone of optimal development where the task isn't too difficult, but it's also challenging enough that you're engaged, you kind of lose your perception of time. So an hour can feel like 10 minutes. And what's going on there? And sometimes, you know, if you stare at a clock, a minute is a long time. But if you're not thinking about it,
time runs really slow down.
Yeah, exactly. And I've actually got a theory. It's not mine about why time speeds up as you get older. It's actually Colin's theory, which is quite funny. And he said, I've always said to him, if I ever became an actual academic and I could write academic papers, I'll write a paper on your theory on time. And he was like, okay. So I'll say it now. And he has this theory that the reason time speeds up as you get older is because, say, a day or a week is a smaller proportion of the total life that you've lived, right? So when you're 10 years old, the 6 weeks of a summer holiday is a larger proportion of your entire life so far than when you're 45 and you have children and the summer holidays whips by. Do you get what I mean? So for us, right, a year goes faster than someone who's 5 years old, because a year for someone who's 5 is 20% of their life, whereas for us, a year is like just over 5% of our life. And when you get to like the age of 80, another year is just like 2% of their life. Do you get what I mean? And that's why it speeds by so quickly, because you've done so much more. You've had that longer total life, and this one little fragment goes by like it's nothing.
So that sort of contradicts my thoughts when children have all the time in the world then.
Well,
so you're saying it goes faster when they're younger?
No, what I'm saying is slower.
Oh, okay.
Slower. Because if you're 4 years old and you just had your first year of school and you've got a 6-week summer holiday or a 2-month summer holiday, okay? 2 months, I mean, you've only been alive for what? 48 months? Because you're 4 years old? So 2 months is a decent proportion of 48. Whereas if you're 50 years old, what's 50 times 12? Something, a lot of months, right? Compared to just being around for 48 of them. That's Colin's theory anyway. That's why time speeds up.
I mean, when you have a kid, it takes quite a few months, doesn't it? So for that sperm, it could be like years, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, the sperm's only about for a bit, innit? The sperm and the egg fuse together pretty immediately. So it's only a sperm when it's in your dad's balls and then when it's travelling through the fallopian tubes and stuff.
So say the sperm is on the way to the egg. Is it like a door that shuts? So only one can get through, or do you reckon there's a couple that could and it's like a time limit?
I'm not 100% sure, but there's a couple weird theories of like... I mean, the easiest way to think about it is the sperm that gets there first fuses with the egg, and then that fusion can only happen with one sperm, okay? But maybe, we could have some weird woo-woo theories that the egg chooses the sperm, or the sperm are there waiting, like a waiting room, and the egg suddenly opens the door to one of them and calls out the name like they're in a hospital waiting room or something. But yeah, it's probably just first come, first served, isn't it?
But when they have twins, does that mean there's two different sperms, or is that sort of egg splitting?
I It's definitely one of those, but I'm not qualified to know that, and I don't want to go out and say something and be wrong. But I think it's yes, either. So when the sperm fuses with the egg, I know that's called a zygote. That's like the first cell of a new person, and I think that splits into two. But you get two zygotes when you have twins, I think. But it could be different sperm cells.
But there might be a way that two sperm get in, like both merge through the door at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's a joint first.
Yeah. They both get a joint first medal. Yeah, it's interesting that it blows my brain, man, when there's like something like millions and millions of sperm cells all hacking it down.
Do they know they're racing?
No, bro. Well, I don't know. I've never spoke to a sperm cell.
But if the female selects the male sperm, then they probably won't know they're racing. They're there for the reason, aren't they?
I think they're just driven, aren't they? They've got a job to do, man, and that's what they're wired to do. Just like we're wired to get up in the morning and try and get through the day. You know, just the sperm has a job to do. It gets up, right, where's the egg? Come on then, let's do it, boys. But I wonder if there's little rivalries between the sperm. They're in the balls, like they're warming up or whatever, doing stretches and that, in the ball sack, waiting like, boys, it's coming. Are you ready? They're starting, like, they're on the edge of the penis waiting.
And the whistle blows.
Yeah, there's one big commander sperm that's been inside the cock for years, and he's there, and he's like the elder, and he's waiting, and he makes sure they're all lining up together at the right time, and he blows a whistle, or he has a gun or something, and he's like, on your marks, get set, they go for it. Yeah, weird. And it's actually something I saw in Chris Williamson's 3 Minute Monday newsletter. And I can't remember who he quoted, but he had this idea, and it's basically about the ideal self that we all have for ourselves in our own head, and how we always try and aim for that, and how that is not always possible to be that ideal version of yourself, but it's always going to be there. And he used an analogy that really resonates me, right? And it's, imagine you're in a room, okay? And he said, it's like you can hear your ideal self coughing in the next room, right? So you're living your life, right? And there's this person through the wall that you know is your ideal self. You know you could be that person, and yet you're not. And they're like, there's just a wall in between you and that ideal self. And when I think about that, it's like that is a lot of the time what leads to days where I'm not happy with myself, is when I can hear him coughing in the back of my mind, right? But the difference, that disparity between me and that ideal Joel, that's what leads to unhappiness for me. And it's all the time, whenever I'm doing something that I know I shouldn't be doing, whatever that means, I can hear him there. He's almost whispering in the adjacent room. Do you have that?
Yes. I like to think that there's someone that I want to be, and I'm trying to aim towards that. And then when I'm not doing what that future self would be doing, I kick myself in my head. And
I think that is the price that we pay for wanting to lead a life focused around personal development and growth. That's the price that we pay, and that's the guilt that we have. And I don't think everyone has that. I don't think everyone has that room in their head where their ideal self is there coughing, kind of clearing their throat, being like, why are you not following what I am? Why are you not becoming me? Because I've thought about this a lot, right? When I was in school doing my A-levels, right, and a test comes back and I've got an A star, right? Everyone respects that to some degree. Maybe they feel jealous, maybe they don't like it because they wish they had that, right? But what they don't see is the price that I pay for that. So I have this version of me in the back of my mind clearing his throat, always being like, Joel, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be working. What are you doing? Why are you relaxing? There's no time to relax. We've got things to do, right? And if they could try out my head for a day, would they choose that? Would they choose that? Because I don't know. I think there's a price to everything.
Yeah, it's like when you see in the news an entrepreneur sells their business for 100 million. You don't see the first 5 years of him being in the garage with little to nothing, almost going bankrupt. And
really, that's a form of insanity in some ways. Like, some people I've heard. Have you heard of a thing known as a gold medal syndrome?
No.
where it's Olympic athletes, whenever they achieve their greatest goal, the gold medal, right, they're always depressed afterwards. It's like a big phenomenon. It's something like over half of athletes who achieve that gold medal then get depressed afterwards. It's called gold medal syndrome. It's interesting because it's like
when you finally got there,
when
there's no more.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh shit, what do I do now? You've built up to this one thing for 4 years, maybe even longer than that, because maybe it's your first Olympics and you've been training gymnastics since you were 8 years old, right? So maybe you've been training for 10 years hard. Your parents disciplining you. You've been sacrificing the normal things that a teenager would do, a young person would do. Then you're on that stage, you've done your performance, you've got your award, everyone's respecting you, everyone's applauding, and then you go back to your hotel room and everyone else gets on with their lives and you've got this gold medal, but now the path is gone.
But it's also like other people celebrate you more than you do.
Because I think to get to a point where you're achieving a gold medal, you're going to have, like I said earlier, that ideal version of yourself clearing his throat in the back of your head. And you can never be that person. No one is their ideal self. It doesn't exist. It's not possible, right? Because we have human limitations and we're going to have off days and bad things are going to happen that we're not expecting. But those people are cursed with that all the time. So maybe what drives the person that you respect do what they do is not something you would want to drive you. You know, I mean, there was I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I heard Alex Hormozy talk about like the 3 biggest factors when I think he read a book or something where they studied high performers, CEOs, stuff like that, and they all had 3 common characteristics, no matter what industry they were in. And it was number 1, they were, I think it was self-obsessed and like egotistical. So they wanted to succeed to get higher status, respect, whatever. But they had also crippling insecurity alongside with that, and I think those 2 things are very linked, right? And they were also had ability to like delay gratification. Those are the 3 main things. But to be a high performer in anything, I think you have to have a level of insecurity. Nothing is going to drive you to go to the gym at 6 a.m. or do a 10-hour day of work or whatever if you don't feel right in yourself. And that's why I have these thoughts sometimes of like people who aren't that driven, it's actually fine because maybe they just lack that insecurity. Think about it myself, like why do I do the things I do? Maybe it's that ideal Joel clearing his throat in the back of my mind and then seeing the gap between me and him, and that's that insecurity. And every day I'm trying to just like get ever closer to this guy, but he's faster than me, he's running away. It's like we're on a race and he started a mile ahead of me and we're at the same pace because we're the same person, you know?
It's a thing of always wanting more.
When is the moment when I'm going to be like, you know what, Joel, it's all right.
It's when you're proud.
Yeah.
When you're older, like old, and you can just sort of look back on everything.
Yeah, I mean, look at a guy like Goggins, right? We respect Goggins to a very high degree, but he's not really healthy, you know? Like, he's a good source of motivation, and I respect that guy because he's come from nothing to something, basically just through putting himself through discomfort, right? But David Goggins can't relax.
Well, what is too much?
Yeah, would you want to pay that price? You know, would you want to pay that price? You know, I'd want to be someone like David Goggins with that respect and that mindset and the life that he leads. But do I want to pay the price of like not being able to ever switch off?
The thing is about Goggins is I think that's where he's happy, and he doesn't need these so he makes these other sacrifices, but he's happy with just this one thing and being the best at one thing. As long as you're happy with that, then I think it's worth paying that price.
Yeah, because maybe to him that's the way that he
handles,
and that's the way he handles being human. Because everyone finds their way of just like rationalising the weirdness of what the hell's going on. You know, I've actually been reading a bit about that kind of thing in a book I'm reading at the moment called The Denial of Death. And what the author argues is that everyone tries to be a hero in their life in some way, and they kind of adopt this character of like, I'm this person and I do this thing, and that is so they don't have to think about the fact they're immortal, like they are a mortal animal and they will die, and that you know, they have to do something to contend with the weirdness of you didn't choose where you came from, You didn't choose this world. You didn't choose to be you. And that's why we do things like push ourselves, try and achieve things to try and create a legacy, whatever that means. Other animals don't do that because they don't know that they're mortal and stuff.
What do you think would happen if we all had the same cards in life when we were born? If we were all sort of one class and we all had the same opportunities and same socioeconomic situation?
I think the self-obsessed human animal that we are would mean that wouldn't work. Someone would always try and get ahead. We are inherently competitive. So even if our start line was the same, where we finished and how fast we ran that race would be different. So I think you could give everyone the same starting block, but where they end up would be different. It's just like you see it, people who do amazing things from worse backgrounds.
Yeah.
That would just happen because people just wired differently.
About a week ago, had a response from Ewan, and he's been sending in a lot of valuable stuff.
Is this on one of our socials then?
Yeah.
On a TikTok?
Yeah, he's been commenting a lot.
Right.
But he came up with this that took my interest. So he said, as a response to how we think and where our thoughts come from,
Okay.
he says our brain acts more like an antenna that intercept ideas. Like the idea isn't ours, it just enters a radio station till we feel it isn't useful, needed or relevant. Thoughts have a particular vibration, so we need to be a certain frequency to intercept certain thoughts of a particular frequency. What do you think?
I completely agree with you in there. That's actually so profound and true.
So what does the antenna do? I'm not too sure.
So
in animals?
What, like an insect and stuff?
Yeah.
I think it's like just like a sense that they have. Just like we have eyes and ears and a nose and a mouth. They just kind of like, I think they sense heat and moisture, and it's not like smelling because they have nostrils, but they'll just sense the environment basically. Yeah. But I like that idea of like the thoughts aren't ours. They're wherever, okay, around us, floating around in another dimension that we can't see or sense, and we just pick them up through what we're doing. And I like his point of that. Your own frequency, i.e. the state that you're in, actually defines which thoughts you can then receive. Because I feel like with having positive or negative thoughts, it's kind of a loop that you get into, and an exponential kind of acceleration in one way or the other. So if you're in a negative state, then you're in a negative frequency. Your radio station's at a negative frequency, so you're going to pick up more negative thoughts. But if you're in a positive state, you're at a positive frequency, then your antenna's going to pick up more positive thoughts. And I think that's true, yeah.
I like it sort of like a radio station, so the thoughts all around you, and then you just sort of pick one out of them.
Yeah, I don't think you pick it though. I think it just the thought resonates with you somehow.
You can choose which thought to carry.
To focus on, yeah. I think you can certainly let go of a thought.
Which radio channel to...
Yeah. You can let go of a thought through like learning mindfulness and whatever, and being like, that thought isn't me, that's just come into my radio station, so I'm going to change the channel. You know, but sometimes that's hard. Well, a lot of the time it's very hard. You know. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think I've talked about it before. I've talked about it on the episode with Stanley about a book called The War of Art.
Yeah.
Where this guy claimed that creativity comes from the muse, which is like some godly force, and it's our ego that stops us from just letting that godly force flow through us and do our work, because the ego doesn't like the fact that its thoughts aren't its own, you know. And that's where we deal with resistance, he calls it, which most people just call procrastination.
Right.
You know, it's interesting.
Yeah, thanks to Ewan for that.
Ewan, you're a legend. Keep commenting. I want more of your thoughts, man. More of your antenna.
So this is from Obstacle is the Way.
Right.
So Theodore Roosevelt, he had horrible asthma, where he'd have nightly attacks, but his father built up a gym, and slowly he built up some muscle against his weak lungs, and by the age of 20, his asthma is over. He outworked his weakness in his body. So the moral of the story is, don't allow weakness to restrict you. And if you have a physical weakness, there might be some way to beat it. And I link this with like how Goggins defined what's possible and how far you can run, getting to that 90% where you're about 70 miles in, you still got 30 miles to go. So my question for you is, with your disability, has there been a way you've tried to fight it, or will try to fight it in the future?
That's such a great question. I've got so many ideas and thoughts about that. I think, like, obviously, before I proceed, I have to caveat every point that I'm going to make with, there are people in worse positions than me that will have very different experiences, right? Having a disability is a very like broad term. I just have mild impairment in my legs. That means I walk funny and things, and I can't walk as far as other people, and I get pain when I try to and stuff. So obviously, take everything I say with a pinch of salt. This is just my personal experience. But what I think is, you cannot let anything define you. Like, the only way that something is going to completely define your life and define your character is if you allow it to. So yes, I was born with cerebral palsy, right? But that doesn't mean I have to be a victim to cerebral palsy. I can just use it. It's just like a different tool in my arsenal to have a different life experience. It's just the same as like you were either born in England or you were born in Turkey or Iran or Hungary, or you were born as this race, you know, or you were born in this city and you had these parents. It's just one of the cards that I was dealt, right? And if you just focus so much on this card and see it as so negative and try and get rid of it as much as you can, then it owns you at the end of the day. Whereas you have to own it and you have to work with it and not against it. And that goes for anyone with anything. Like, it doesn't have to be a physical disability. If you were born and, you know, you naturally find it difficult you're very introverted, or you had a difficult relationship with your parents, or you might have, you know, diabetes type 1, or you might, I don't know, have a learning difficulty, or you might be a bit autistic, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't define you, man. And that's it. It's just a label that the world's put on you. Like, cerebral palsy, the word, is just a noise that's been associated with the way my legs work. But at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just a noise. And the way the medical system works, you have to obviously diagnose things so that you can get the right help and stuff. But it is literally just a noise. And you can hear that and go, okay, apparently that's, you know, why my legs are a bit weird. But it's all right. I'm gonna move forward. And I only came to that realization, you know, a few years ago. And then I just decided, like, I'm just going to try and do everything I can do to make it as good as possible, really. And by that, I mean I started walking as much as I possibly could. And, you know, lockdown gave me the opportunity to do that. You know, when nothing was really going on, I'm talking like proper 2020 first lockdown, I was walking every day, right? And maybe I could just walk a few roads at the beginning around my neighbourhood. But then I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to go a few houses further down, okay? And the next day, same thing. And it was painful, right? But it's just like in a gym, you know, you push your body to a level of discomfort where the muscle is fatigued, and then you grow and you can lift more, right? So I'm walking and my legs aren't feeling good, but I'm like, okay, well, I got to this house yesterday, so I'm gonna get to this house today. Walk that little bit more. And over a period of like a year, I could then walk more. And I don't know whether it was physically I could, but just mentally, like, I was just like, oh, I can do this. It's fine. And then I go back to school for sixth form. I don't have to use a wheelchair around school. And then it's like, oh, it's more manageable. And now there's nothing wrong with needing to use a wheelchair or needing this help or whatever. But it showed me that my life is not really different because of my disability anymore. It just is a thing. And if anything, I've said this before, I said it in a video a while ago, like over a year ago. I said, if a doctor came to me with a syringe and said, Joel, let me stick these in your leg, and then you won't have a disability anymore, I would not want it. Because number one, it's defined my character. and it's defined my perspectives in life and the experiences I've had with surgery, with pain, with feeling different, with people staring at you everywhere you go because you look funny. That has carved who I am. So if you get rid of the things you don't like about yourself, you just get rid of everything that you are, because your limitations become like they mold you. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't have the thoughts that I have. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I do. I wouldn't be able to express what I want to express to the people of the world if I hadn't had those experiences. So yes, that was a big rant, but the underlying message is there are things about you that you won't like. There are things thrust upon you by the world that are negative. But how can you turn that, just as Ryan Holiday argues throughout the whole of that book, Obstacle is the Way, how can you turn that adversity into an advantage? How can you make your suffering your sermon? How can you use the challenges you faced for the positive and actually you see them as a tool rather than something that damages you? And that's what I've tried to do with my obstacle, with my disability.
Wow.
That was like 5 minutes or something. Bloody hell.
The only other, I thought of in another context as well while she was saying that. A lot of people are dealt a bad hand in the way they they look and how good they look compared to a lot of other people. But when you look in history, a lot of the best seducers were not good-looking people.
No. A lot of it is, 5% of things is how they actually are, and 95% is how you view them. So, using that specific example of like, let's not lie and say that people are all equally as beautiful. It's not how it works. People are more attractive than other people. That's just the reality, right? But if you haven't been blessed in the gene pool, in the way that you look, that doesn't mean you can't be attractive, man.
There's different ways to show that.
Oh yeah,
totally. The halo effect is annoying.
Yeah.
But everyone sees everyone different anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're hilariously funny and you are good to be around, you can have good, meaningful conversations, people will fall in love with you. A lot of the if you're only with your partner because you like the way they look, that's so superficial, it's unreal. It kind of good looks in terms of love and attraction are really just like how grades are to getting a job. So or grades are to get to university. So an employer or a university will look at your grades and your degree and your qualifications and they'll get you through the door. They might get you an interview, okay? But if you turn up to that interview and you're an idiot, they're not going to give you that job. So if you're more attractive, yeah, you get more offers just off superficial first impressions. But if you're horrible to be around, no one will want to be with you. Whereas you might get less offers if you're predisposed with a set of physical characteristics that aren't that aesthetic, right? But when you get those offers, you might be able to show up and be like, look, you've never been with anyone like me. I'm a different breed. And then people are like, wow, yeah, I want to be with this person. And all that kind of, all the superficial look stuff fades anyway, man.
Seems like that's what's happened with James Corden. Not saying he's good looking, but he was very funny. But they found out that he wasn't a very nice person. So his career flopped. Yeah, no one likes him really. It's fun, isn't it? But he was so big, wasn't he? He was massive. Yeah. I remember the years of carpool karaoke. Yeah. He was just banging millions of views every night on late night television, in films and everything. And that's it. You see that high status guy, right? Everything's going well for him. He's got money. He knows people that are famous. And actually, the fundamental thing was he wasn't nice to the people around him. And then that led to his downfall. Realistically, it's control the controllables and let go of everything else. You can't really control your face structure and how genetically predisposed you are unless you get plastic surgery.
No, just don't do that. That's just an awful idea.
Would you date someone with plastic surgery?
No, I wouldn't. Because it's not just the plastic surgery; it's the underlying thought process behind that of I can fix how I feel about myself through how I look, which is just a false...
It's an escape.
Yeah, it's not, and those feelings will never go away. But anyway, that's a whole different can of worms. What was I saying? Realistically, the things you can control are how you interact with people, what you believe about yourself and the world, and what you do, right? And everything else you just got to try and let go of, because you can do 95% of or 99.9% of where you get in life is just how you manage things, how you move with the waves and how you move with the ebb and flow, rather than just getting fixated on like, oh, I've got a big nose, or I'm ginger.
Cleopatra had a big nose.
Did she?
Mm.
She did all right, didn't she?
Well, she got with Julius Caesar.
Damn. That's kind of crazy. I bet that couple, they would have been like the celebrity couple of those days.
100%.
Like they didn't have social media, they didn't have like written word, no printing press, but the spoken word of like, did you hear that Cleopatra got with some bloke from another country? Like,
Well, Rome actually hated Cleopatra because Julius Caesar was spending all his time in Egypt looking at pyramids and stuff, and Rome was suffering like without him.
he was just getting seduced by Cleopatra, just leaving his kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been thinking about, and actually it kind of links into how I've been the past few days. I've been thinking about the importance of enthusiasm as an emotion. Okay. I think it's the most important state for a good life. Enthusiasm, right? Because happiness is too elusive. It fades. You're happy one minute, the next something happens and your happiness is gone because your brain chemistry's changed. Meaning is nice because it makes your life feel purposeful and worthwhile, but it's often quite uncomfortable. It takes a lot of work and a lot of graft to have a meaningful life. But enthusiasm is the nice kind of bridge in between those ideas. Enthusiasm, when you're enthusiastic, what you're saying is, it doesn't matter what I do, it's how I do it. And like I was saying to you, when my enthusiasm's wavered in recent times, everything else then it kind of just feels like fluffy and like, waking up in the morning and just being like, I've got to do these things. Like, instead of life being a burden, enthusiasm makes it an opportunity. Instead of like I have to do this, it's I get to do this.
Yeah.
And I used to watch a YouTuber a lot when I was, and I still do watch his videos to this day because I like his way of life. He's a fitness YouTuber called Joe Delaney. And he has this quote in one of his vlogs that I think about a lot. And it's just such a dumb little thing, but I think about it a lot. And he said, sometimes in life you do good shit, right? But most of the time you have to make shit good. And every time I think about that, it's like, it kind of like gives me this warm feeling inside of like, yeah, like the shit that's happened today. Oh, I've got to wash up. I've got to make lunch.
I've got to edit this podcast.
You've got to edit this podcast. I've got to put a load of washing on. I've got to script this video. I've got to film this thing that I don't want to. Oh, I've got to drive to work. I've got to work. That's shit, right? From some perspective. But you can make that shit good. Because if you live your life just waiting for the good shit, waiting for the marriage, the holiday, then what are you doing, man? 95% of your life is waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth and getting in the shower. So why don't we think about that? Why don't we think about when you wake...
Daily routine is, half your day.
It's everything, Yeah. If you do the arithmetic on it, it's unreal, That first hour of your day is probably the same every single day, unless you have to get up ridiculously early for work.
Like the first hour is like the most important.
I think
it's how you approach the rest of your day.
So yeah, I mean, 100%. You have to have something in place when you first wake up in the morning, because if there's ever a time where you're not going to feel good, it's in the morning. You've just been in a dream. You're in that warm bed, right? You get up, your cortisol's spiked when your eyes see all the light in the morning. You can get your first big wave of anxiety in the morning. You kind of have to contend with the potential of the day. You've got all these things on your to-do list that you need to do. You've got to be at this place at this time. And it can just become very overwhelming. So that's why you need some kind of robotic thing of like, I'm going to get up and do this and I'm going to enjoy this. That's why in the kind of self-help space, they tell you to like write down things you're grateful for in the morning. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? It just sounds like, why do I need to express gratitude for my curtains when I wake up? What's that going to do? How's that going to make my life better? But what it's about is it's about putting your brain in that enthusiasm mindset.
So how do you become enthusiastic? Is it just being grateful?
I think gratitude is certainly a part of it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the quote that I like is that happiness is where you want what you already have. Okay. And that's gratitude at the end of the day. Yeah. I think more of it's just, it's definitely that. And I think, well, where do I find enthusiasm? It's when, it's when I'm like, have things to look forward to, but they don't even have to be big. They're just mundane. Like, oh, do you know what I really enjoy? Peanut butter and banana on toast. Like, that is good, man. And I can get so much joy out of that peanut butter and banana on toast if I'm really present with it. And I'm like, this tastes so good. Like, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else than eating that food. And that sounds stupid, but it just is. It's so true. And you might get that from reading or whatever. Like even your walk to work. I know it's 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But you're not in a war torn country where you can't walk to work. You can look
Mm.
around, you can listen to some music, or you can listen to the birds. You can just go outside and just take a big deep breath, just like and feel your lungs fill up with air and just go, wow, I'm alive, man. That's enthusiasm. Like, enthusiasm is being alive, not just existing, actually being alive and being like, whoa, this is sick. Because, nothing is ever as, like, if life is seriously bad, right? 99% of the time it's how you're thinking. Yes, there are circumstances that are absolutely diabolical that happen to people. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But like, on a mundane day, it can be good. You just got to view it that way. And that's why I think enthusiasm is the highest mind state that I want to be in all the time.
Enthusiasm is presence minus anxiety.
It is. It's like it's presence and intensity in whatever you're doing. So it's like this water here, right? I can take a sip of this water and not think about it, right? Or I can be truly present with this water, take a sip. That's the best water I've ever tasted now. Because I'm like, oh, damn, that's hydrating. Because I'm in that moment. I'm sinking my teeth into life. Everything I do, that's enthusiasm.
Mm.
It's like going to the gym and not just training and going through the motions of doing your 3 sets of 10, but like feeling the muscle contract, pushing yourself. Or when you're doing some work or something, going into flow state, not just getting through it, checking your phone, it taking twice as long as it needs to, being in that task. Yeah, that's enthusiasm.
So, for all the viewers, that's our challenge for you.
Yeah, man. Find some way to get some like enthusiasm into some boring ass stuff you've got to do. Like when you're washing up or whatever, feel the warm water and the soap on your hands. Try and make that plate the fucking cleanest plate you've ever washed in your life. Seriously. Make it so good that your mum goes, that plate is immaculate. And you go, I know. You know? I mean, Naval Ravikant has a quote where he said, if you can't be happy with a coffee, you won't be happy with a yacht.
Ooh,
Right? And that's a great idea of just like, if I can't be happy with peanut butter and banana on toast, am I going to be happy when,
Michelin star.
yeah, am I going to be happy when I'm eating like Wagyu beef in a 5-star restaurant? Probably not, man. And it's all just levels. So yeah, enthusiasm, people.
Is it okay to fling waste into space rather than digging it into the ground?
Uh, Probably better, isn't it? If space is infinite, then why not?
People have a problem with it though.
More problem than putting it in the ground.
Well, some people didn't like it when Elon Musk flew his Tesla into space.
Well, but space is so big, right? And if we're gonna put waste anywhere, I think it's better out there, isn't it? You know,
I think so as well.
it's not really like there's so much space between even us and the moon that we could just build like if we get to a point where we can like go to space pretty easily, like the average guy can just like nip up there in a suit or whatever. We could put the dump there and just have a massive like container of just anything you want to put in there. Do you know what I mean? They'd be helpful. I think about this a lot in that. Have you watched Harry Potter and the last one? What's it called? Deathly
Deathly
Hallows. And Hermione has that bag, right? It's a little bag, but she'll pull crazy stuff out of it, right? Because it's like an infinite bag. I want that, but to put stuff in it because there's so much stuff everywhere. I want to be like, I just want Hermione's bag, put it all in there. It can sit in the corner of my room, and when I want something, I look in her bag. And that's what space could be like. Everyone could have like a storage unit, but it's just like an area of space. It's a big container in space, and you just go up there, put your suit on, go through the lift, and you put your old sofa in there.
Let's start tipping on Mars, and then we can burn it all, and then that will warm the planet up, and we get rid of our waste. 2 in 1.
Yeah, but it's just doesn't it take like years to get to Mars?
I'm not too sure.
I think it takes years to just travel there. So if you're having to take like your old fridge, do you know what I mean? It'd be quite a trek. Like, yo, babe, I'm just gonna go and take the fridge to the tip. She's like, oh, I'll see you in 2 years. I was like, well, that's not ideal, is it?
Is there a way like to transform matter from one place to the other, basically teleportation?
No,
Is it not possible?
probably not. No.
They say they're going to do it in like 200 years.
What, teleport things? No, probably not, mate. Probably not in our lifetime. That I don't know.
But is it possible?
Well, there's the idea, isn't it? It's quite similar.
If you go really fast through somewhere.
What, you'd have to create like some kind of tube unit, and then like create a vacuum in it, and then push something at like light speed.
Magnetic force have like a ring on that's like, I don't know, some mineral, and then some other one, and then you zip to it.
You know, rip your arm off probably before you go with it. I mean, yeah, I think all of that kind of technology stuff, like, it's quite similar to time travel in that it's that kind of complicated thing. If time travel existed, there's that theory, isn't it? If time travel existed, we'd know about it because someone would have come back or gone forward.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson said it's possible to go forward, but it's impossible to go back.
What was his reasoning behind that?
You can go faster, like, but it's only like a little bit faster. Because I don't know, you can move matter. If you move it faster, then you're in the future.
Faster than light, or fast? Just
I think faster than light. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to go back, and then there must be a reason for that.
To be honest with you, all these thoughts of like, let's put things in space, let's travel back or forward in time. It's all great and it's all like a nice thing to think about, but I don't need it. It's not gonna. Even if it happens, I wouldn't be that arsed. Like, you can say, "Oh, Joel, they've put storage units in space." All right, yeah, cool. I'm happy. If someone came back from the past or the future, that'd be quite cool, though.
No, I want to get into a position where I'm offered a trip to Mars. I'll take it.
It's too much risk, man. Like, it's a year to get there. It'd be multiple years. I don't know, but it's going to be time. It's going to be time to get there. And then what? You're going to just get out and be like, oh, we made it.
Just knock about.
Yeah, it's like walk around and you're like, oh, look, there's another rock.
Go for a wander.
Oh, there's another rock. And you're like, oh, all right, it's a year back home. Oh, okay. Sound.
No, because you'll probably like trace upon some bacteria or something that's not around enough.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm alright, thanks. I'm happy on Earth, man. I do like you go up really high and see the Earth from space thing, but
yeah, the view would be great.
Great view. Yeah, optimal view. Yeah.
That's where we live.
Yeah.
Oh look, we got there on holiday.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, like in terms of like going Mars, I'm alright, man. It's like I think we should accept like space. If you go there and you don't have a special suit on, you just explode. So surely that's a warning of like, probably shouldn't go there,
I know what you mean.
It's probably not great. It's probably not a good move, just from that sign,
Imagine getting lost in space.
Well, exactly.
No gravity, just circling around the Earth.
Floating about. No, you wouldn't circle around the Earth because you're not on the orbital, like your orbit path, like the moon is or anything.
If there's no gravity, can you control where you move?
No.
What about if you like breaststroke towards Earth?
I don't think that's how it works. I think you could push off something.
Yeah.
Because you see them doing that in like the International Space Station. Maybe they do move.
What would direct where they?
Like the force of their push or pull.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could just like breaststroke and like pull the air to move. No.
I feel like a springboard.
Yeah.
In space. And you get some bodybuilder to push you off.
Some bodybuilder. See, Ronnie Coleman's up in space. You just got him up there.
And then you get a big push down to Earth, and then you slowly fly in and land in the ocean.
You wouldn't slowly fly in, mate. You'd die. You wouldn't continue at the pace that you are when you enter the atmosphere. You enter the atmosphere and then you just plummet to your death
No, because there was some fella, wasn't there, that like jumped out from space.
with a parachute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have a parachute, you're gonna die.
No, because you have the space equipment.
So you have a parachute with you.
No,
What's the space equipment then?
just like thing around the suit, space.
You'll still die. If you're plummeting to Earth,
Yeah, but what if you land in the ocean?
you'll still die.
What if it's like a deep ocean?
It's not about how deep the water is, it's about the impact on the surface. If you've hit terminal velocity and you're absolutely flying it down there, doesn't matter what you hit. You could hit a mattress. You could hit the biggest mattress the world has ever
What
seen.
about a pile of feathers?
It has to be a big pile of feathers, man. Millions of feathers. Jesus. I think you'd still die, yeah. You need a lot of feathers though, man.
Mm.
I don't think we have the birds for that.
Can altruism exist?
Altruism.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Or does and other acts of kindness, or does everyone have self-interest at their core?
I don't think you can do anything without a level of self-interest. No. And anyone who says they do, right, they're putting up this, oh, I don't do anything for me.
But what about a mum and a child?
Yeah, she gets to spread her genes. She gets to see her child. You know, a lot of mothers live vicariously through their child. If your child does a great thing, why do you think mums put it on Facebook so much? You know? It makes you look good. You brought up that kid, it's doing good things. You know? I'm not saying it's the primary motivator. No way. There's obviously loads of factors. But I don't think you can do anything without a little seasoning of self-interest.
I reckon a lot of people fail in life, so they just want their kid to do good, so that they're fine.
Yeah, and that's really, I mean, that's the way it was evolutionarily. Like, you got to understand that the world that we live in now, where you can like do these individualistic pursuits of things, that's such a privilege. You know, back in the day, we'd be living to 30 and we'd have kids by 17, and that was it. You know, the fact that you can put a plan in place and move towards these goals and achieve material things, that's like a very new thing, like last 100 years thing. So I think having children is like the most important thing you can do. So more than anything, like I would pay everything if I lost my fertility to get it back.
And you should adopt.
Yeah, you can, of course you can, but it's not really the same, is it? But obviously, there's nothing they can do to reverse my infertility if it happened. So I would adopt, but yeah, I think you'd give everything to be able to have kids. So in terms of like they're not successful, whatever that means, and then they have children live vicariously through them. I think that happens a lot, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Really?
I think if you commit your life to giving your child the best opportunities you can, yes, there'll be a level of self-interest, but that's amazing. Go for it. You know, be that springboard for your kid. You know, all the things I do, man, the way I develop myself, there's my egotistical self-interest of like, I want respect and status, and I want a sauna in my house, I want a home gym, an ice bath, I want the ability to fly business class, all of that, right? That's all ego self-interest. But the underlying core, deep thing inside of me is I want to be a good father and a good husband. That's it. You know, so I can have that freedom when I'm young. I can go and do the things I want to do, fulfill my egotistical desires, and then settle down and just be like the best dad the world's ever seen. Like unreal levels of dad, you know. So yeah, I think just people just start that. Some people start that early because maybe they don't want to. They don't really know where they want to be and whatever. So they're like, yeah, just have kids, man. Fair enough. I think just generally in our culture, like being a parent is less appreciated than like a career. But really, that's what we're here to do, man. We're here to procreate and have kids. I don't know. I mean, you've said to me you want 12 kids or whatever.
Like between 5 and 8.
Yeah, like that's a bit mad.
Seeing how a big family works, I like the idea of it.
Yeah. It'd be a lot of stress there, man.
Yeah, but it'd be nice, better on the dinner table, wouldn't it?
Yeah, can you imagine? But what if they're all knobheads?
Well, I won't let them be.
Right, but what are you going to do? Beat them?
No, I discipline them in 3 words.
Or just like give them a stern word?
Well, as you do,
What
the
do
naughty
you,
step works.
do you want your children to be scared of you?
No, but I want them to respect me.
Right,
It's a difference in that.
there is, but it's a very fine line. No, I don't know how you do that. How do you get your kid to not do what you don't want it to do without it being scared of you?
Whereas Peterson says, don't let your child do something.
That makes you dislike
Yeah.
them. Yeah, agreed. But I just, I think to some extent, I'll have these ideas of like wanting my kid to be a certain way. But at the end of the day, I'll realise they've got to figure out on their own. I'll give them principles and be like, if this happens, and this is probably why, and do this. But at the end of the day, in terms of actually deciding what I let them do and don't do, it doesn't work. But I've seen people that I know, like where their parents have been super strict. It doesn't work because the kids can end up doing what they want to do anyway, and you're just making their relationship with you harder. But it's a fine line. Like, my mum never really like restricted how much I could play video games or whatever. And then I figured out on my own that I didn't really want to do that. But maybe I wouldn't have in another life. Don't know.
Why do parents always have that voice to their kids of like, ah? It's like a high pitched,
Yeah.
overly caring voice.
I don't know. Just we're designed that way, I guess. Just like the same way you talk to a dog. Why do you talk? You don't go up to a dog and go, "All right, mate. Yeah, good. Yeah, nice one." Do you? You don't. It's weird. You speak to dogs like you speak to babies and children. But I don't. I find it weird. I struggle, man. I struggle to talk to toddlers.
They're not just fake though. When you're like over caring.
Yeah. What does fake mean, man? I don't know. But it is. We do go into like modes. I see it with pets all the time. It makes me laugh. It's like, imagine if people spoke to one another like we speak to dogs.
I've got a question quite similar to that. What if we could talk to all animals? I mean, we can sort of talk to parrots.
No, we can't.
Yeah, we can.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
No, Jacob.
I've had parrots speak to me.
And say what? What they do is they just replicate the noises they hear.
Still,
It's not a conversation.
they're still trying to direct it.
No, it's not. They're not trying to direct the conversation. They're not thinking like the parrot is not reading up on like what ideas it can gain from someone in his head. No. I don't know. I think if we could speak to animals, it'd be complicated because there'd be. But anyway, actually, I think you wouldn't. There wouldn't be words. We've been through this before. The dog would just be like food, walk, love. That would be it, and we'd be like, this is boring. If we gave it a little device so it could talk.
It's like an up.
It is.
That voice on the dog.
It is. It's like that. It'd be like if you gave a dog a device that made it like able to speak. It would be like a bop it machine. It would be like food, love, and all of that just all the time, and it's just like shut the dog up. Someone drop kick it, please, and that would be it.
So why can't animals talk with each other?
They do.
What, a giraffe speaks to a parrot?
No.
A giraffe speaks to a cat?
No. A giraffe speaks to a giraffe probably and goes, all right.
So why can't different species speak to each other?
Just in the same way that we can't speak to.
It'd be better if this one did.
I don't think it would, mate. Imagine the amount of conflicts that would go down. Like the dog was insulted by the dolphin or whatever, and then they'd be like, right, it's wartime. I don't know, like.
No, because dolphins are really nice. They talk as well, don't they?
How do you know a dolphin's nice?
They're always happy and smiling.
How do you know?
Because they're always doing acrobatics in the water.
Right.
But they say, don't they, that dolphins are nice, that they're like kind animals.
Yeah. But if you piss off one, I bet it would be livid. If you took its food or whatever, it'd be like, you dickhead.
I mean, potentially.
Yeah, but no, I think it was funny in Rick and Morty when like Morty was given that device where he could listen to animals, and then he realised that the squirrels were like talking about deep political uproar, like they had wars and like there was just like conspiracies in the squirrel world, and then the squirrels started like attacking them. So,
do you reckon that's...
No, it's not, Jake. It's fake.
Okay, so what about plants? Do plants communicate?
This is interesting. They don't have words, of course.
But they got bees.
No, bees. This flower whispers to the bee, mate, can you go and tell that oak tree to Go away. He keeps looking at me, man. And the bee's like, yeah, I got you. The bee goes to the oak tree. And the oak tree, can you tell that flower that he's absolutely knobhead? Yeah, no. There's actually a thing, right? Trees that are near each other, they communicate, in inverted commas, through their roots. So they can tell each other, oh, there's some predators here. We should use our defense mechanisms. Or, oh, there's a lot of food here. Do you want some? Oh, mate, I'm really hungry. Can I have some? Obviously, they don't send like little messages. They send molecules to each other through the root system. And then one tree will send a molecule out to another tree, and that tree will be like, oh, he needs some food. All right, we'll give him some. And oh, this guy's got a disease, right? We should stay away from wherever, whatever he's dealing with. Stuff like that. So they do have little things like that.
Another one of Ewan's questions was, do trees think?
No.
They communicate, but they don't think.
I don't think animals, apart from us, think. Not thinking. They have drives and feelings.
So what's a tree's drive?
Survival.
But they can't really control that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about someone that comes down with a chainsaw?
Then it's not. They try and run away.
Get
their roots out and start running.
Get them to move the beehive on the trunk.
Yeah. No, that's the weird thing with plants is they can't like run away or anything. So there's survival to a degree in that they'll have defense mechanisms of like that's what bark is. It protects the tree.
Do
you know what I mean? So, but it's the tree's not thinking like, oh, that guy's been about for a while and he's got that axe, and that's not looking nice. The tree's just doing its thing, man.
But like Venus flytraps, they already got a mouth.
Yeah, but they're not thinking like, oh, this is a fly, let me eat that.
Might be able to talk though.
Nah.
If they got a mouth, they can talk.
Can you imagine?
No, that's scary as well.
Yeah. Imagine, right, a Venus flytrap the size of a human. That's scary. That's like horror film shit. That's like Plants vs Zombies. You know that chomp from Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, man. So here's another thing about animals that I think about, right? I've got a question for you here. Your cat, right? How big has your cat got to be until it can kill you? Because I'm not that big, I think. Like
about 3 foot.
In a fight right now, you would beat your cat.
Yeah.
But if your cat became half the size of you, I don't think you're beating that cat in a fight.
No, I'm not.
Which is a weird thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like there with my cat on my lap, stroking her and that. And I'm like, if you were 4 times the size, you could kill me. But we're friends, so it's all right. And you're not that big.
Do animals normally go for animals that are smaller?
Yeah, easy pickings, mate.
That's sort of how the chain goes. But I mean, could a lion kill a whale? The size of it is?
No. Nah. It's too much like.
They could kill an elephant.
Kill it? Yeah. But we're not a herd of elephants. Maybe one, like baby.
1v1.
Now 1v1 of an elephant and a lion. I don't know what would happen there. 'Cause elephants are big.
Yeah, true.
Like that could just stamp on the lion. Yeah. That lion's done.
Yeah.
And the tusks are big and sharp, man.
Mm.
I don't think the lion would get near it enough to get a good bite.
No.
Interesting. Yeah.
Can't different animals share a cage in the zoo to cure loneliness?
Where's the loneliness come from?
They are lonely, aren't they? In the cage.
If they're on their own.
Well, they've got not much space. There's not many of them.
I think if they got some, you'll be alright. But the question of can animals share a cage? Probably not.
But you saw in Life of Pi, that didn't really work. But
what, the man and the tiger on the boat together?
Yeah, but before the tiger wasn't there, then what was it? The zebra and the monkey. They were fine. They were.
And the hyena.
Yeah, the hyena wasn't there.
Hyena was a dickhead.
Yeah.
Hyenas are dickheads. I think it depends on like the predator-prey dynamic. Like, I think could lions and tigers get on? Because they're like, look, we're both really threatening. If we get into a fight, we're both going to get seriously injured. So should we just leave it? And the tiger will go, yeah, probably, mate. Should we go and hunt that gazelle? Yeah, come on then. If like all lions and tigers teamed up, do you think they could just take out a whole village of like humans?
I mean,
because animals. Imagine if animals could form an alliance, all of them, and be like, should we just kill off all the humans? I reckon they could do it.
Yeah.
Actually, could they know? No, because you've got guns and stuff.
Unless they learn how to hold a gun.
They don't have thumbs though, lad.
Monkeys do, don't they?
Yeah, but I can't see a monkey like whipping out.
They rob fruit stores. Monkeys do.
All they need is to get to a gun store. Yeah, yeah. No, but at the end of the day, if they all like the savannah, the whole savannah are aligned, and this animals are like, right, let's take down these humans, I think we would still win. Which is quite sad, really, because you could just ring up and be like, "Oi, can you get a bomb dropped on these lions, please?"
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Yeah, I got you."
Mm.
Which is dark, really, but it's the truth.
Mm.
Sad.
Can animals and plants go to heaven and hell or not?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think plants can, because I don't think plants have a soul. Oh, maybe they do though, because like,
Well, as Stanley said, there's sort of three different types of souls.
yeah, I think they're just less conscious, less developed souls, aren't they? But I don't see like trees don't have a right and wrong. They don't have morality, really. Same with animals. Like their morality is what their right and wrong is. Okay, that gave me a reward and that gave me a punishment in terms of like, Skinner's operant conditioning and everything like that. So the ideas of heaven and hell came from the ideas of morality, didn't they?
Right.
So no, I don't think like plants or animals would go to a heaven or a hell like humans may, because they don't have the ability to. They don't have moral boundaries that can be broken. They just are what they are. They can't consciously break a moral boundary like a human can.
I lose. I lose. I lose.
So the AI world has been very busy.
Of course.
There's this food place in Finland. It's called Sergey's. So I think that's how you say it.
Right.
It's been achieving a lot of good reviews recently.
Mm-hmm.
However, this was an off day, and there's some fellow, and he's waiting for his food for over an hour. And he's a bit angry, but he decides to go to the bar and order another drink. And the bartender fella, he has to change the barrel. And the barrel is often downstairs, where you sort of like a downstairs room. So he opens that up by storage bit. He opens the door and goes down. And as he's opening the door, the guy who's ordering the drink gets a glimpse inside, sort of looks over a little bit. And he's quite suspicious because he sees like a couple sort of metal bits. And he thinks there's like a robot stacking drinks or whatever. So he's like, what are they trying to hide? So he vaults the bar.
I love the detail.
And goes down to the kitchen. Turns out the whole kitchen team is there's a loads of robots. So
right.
All the chefs are robots, and gets caught peering in. And they're not very happy. So they start throwing bits of fruit.
No, they don't.
And they have a little food fight.
What?
So it's basically the bots versus
one guy.
Yeah, a couple of the customers join in.
What?
His mates who he's with start flinging food at each other, and then the restaurant shuts down because apparently you're not allowed to have AI workers unless you make it very clear to the public.
Right. Why are the robots annoyed that he's gone in and seen them?
Because he's not allowed to. It's like if there's a human who sort of went into the staff bit. It's like
Right.
staff only.
And these robots are like, they're adhering to those rules. So they're like, no, this is staff only. They're like, we're gonna throw tomatoes at you.
Yeah, and chefs get angry, don't they? Why are you peering in?
And they say that in the little robot voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why is it illegal? They can't have AI workers.
They probably can, but they didn't tell the public. It was secret.
Right. But then why are they having a fight? Surely the guy's like, you know what, I'll leave you guys to it. It's a bit alarming, but I'm going to go and get my drink. And what's happened to the bartender? Where's he gone?
Well, when you're hungry, you get angry. So he was hangry.
He was hangry, yeah.
So that he probably, he reacted badly. The robots are stressed.
You can't be stressed.
They've got a lot of orders on. So
Brother.
they're like, just, alright, shut them up, we'll throw him something. And then the bartender, I don't think he wanted a part of it. He didn't want to be a part of it, so he
was a bystander.
He walked out, yeah.
Robots can't get stressed, bro.
They can get fed up and then go faster.
They don't get fed up. They might go
Well,
faster, but they don't get fed up.
I think they're just being a bit impulsive.
The robots?
Yeah.
They can't be impulsive though. They just do what they do, man. Maybe they're just wired to like throw food at intruders. You know. Yeah, well, you know what? I think that's more believable than other stories, but I still think you wouldn't have a kitchen of robots yet.
Why not?
I don't think it's possible.
No, it would be. I mean, robots are built to do sort of simple tasks and stuff. There'd be sort of one carrying a tray round, another guy flipping burgers. It'd be
His hand.
5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Whatever. We one sort of ringing the bell for the waiters.
One like cleaning with a mop.
what did the do? What did the dishes?
Yeah, but water and robots don't get on, do they?
As we've established that, no, they don't. I'm assuming he must have been wearing some gloves or something. Or maybe that's why they went a bit cuckoo.
Yeah.
The KP one started it.
Oh, I don't. Oh, Jacob.
It's a crazy world.
It is a dark world. It's a dark, crazy, and beautiful world, man. But you know what? I would hire a robot chef.
Yeah.
That'd be like when they first come out. Like you can choose your robot, get a chef and a cleaner, and one to do my laundry.
I do.
But would they be able to cook things nicely? Could you would they know what a rare steak is?
They know the time it would take to cook a rare steak.
Yeah, but sometimes would they be able to put the TLC, the tender love and care into the food?
I don't think so. No, it'd be sort of McDonald's standard.
Yeah.
But they'd search up in their heads how long it takes to cook this certain amount of weight and certain amount.
Yeah.
So they would get pretty spot on.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be any sort of love and gestures.
But my mum's always said the taste of the food is about the love of the chef. I don't think she's wrong.
Potentially. But then there might have been a lot of love making these bots. So the love sort of translated down the chain.
Yeah, love bots, man. Anyway, interesting things, man. Should we call it a day there?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to episode 6. It's been nice actually just for us to chat, normally. So you want to tell them the questions email, Jacob?
Yeah, so if you've got any questions, email questions at openmindedpodcast.co.uk.
Ideal. We'll see you next week, hopefully with another guest. Right, in a bit.